Hello and welcome to Reviews. Yeah, I know this had come out a few weeks ago. Um, I'm still catching up on some other books, and it occurred to me that I hadn't got around to reviewing this. Now, I did skip Fantastic Four #4 because that issue was really, it really read like a fill-in. It was basically to make the 650th issue of the Fantastic Four, if you include all the numbering, to have this be the big wedding. And it was basically the Fantastics replacement group for the Fantastic Four when they returned from their adventure. It had some interesting bits in it, but it, I really thought about reviewing it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. So we get to this guy, Fantastic Four, #5, the wedding of Thing and Alicia. And there's also a wedding companion, and that kind of goes along. The two work really well hand in hand, and maybe I'll go back and review that. But this is a huge book. I mean, this thing is huge. It did not need to be this big. I'm going to say that right up front. I think I've mentioned before, when it comes to Dan Slott, I know a lot of people hate him. And I'm okay with him, to be honest. Is he my favorite? No. He has some stuff I like, some stuff I don't like. And for me, he's hit and miss. And I find when he does stuff I really like, I really, really like it. And, the first arc of the Fantastic Four was supposed to be a big hurrah comeback, bring in every member of the Fantastic Four that's ever been a member. You know what? I waited to film, thinking that Butters wouldn't join us, but nope, here she is. It's Butters! Hey there! Come on, step out of the way. Come on. Let me kind of move her. Every single time. I had to leave the country to have a Butters free video. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh yes, the previous storyline, not the Fantastics, kind of fill in from issue 4, but the first 3 issues were the big return of the FF. They brought in everyone who had ever been a member, and yeah, that's great and all, but she's just going to keep walking across it. Yeah, thanks, Butters. Why must you do this every single time? If I lock her out, she'll just scratch on the door, so. Okay, Butters. People are going to think I'm ripping off Luna. You know that, right? Jeez. And I kind of wish that that story had only been just the main members of the FF. Instead of bringing in all the issues. And here I am going on 3 minutes. I haven't even talked about this issue. So yeah, this issue is where is it? I think it's $8, $7.99, and it's a big issue, big enough to be walked across. It's a big issue for you, and yeah, we get the nice tribute to Stan Lee as we've been going on. It's kind of poignant, with the Fantastic Four here, and so. We find out at the end of the last issue, if you've been reading The Amazing Spider-Man, that Slott wrote, that Peter Parker, when he had Parker Industries, bought the Baxter building and then ended up losing it when his company went under, found out that the Fantastics now own it. So, Reed pretty much gave them his blessing. So the Fantastic Four are moving into the building that Ben Grimm owns on Yancey Street, which happens to be building #4 or whatever. And so Reed's doing his thing where he's making it bigger on the inside. Reed Richards, what have you done? Blah, blah, blah. So the art in here, there's a bunch of artists. And sometimes, you get pages like this where it's Sue. Look at this. Sometimes the art's goofy, sometimes it's good. I'm going to try and go through this quickly. I don't want this to be a 40-minute video because this thing is like double-sized. And so Reed is working on his various projects, and Ben asks for a favor. Basically, he wants to learn how to dance. He needs to practice how to dance. So Sue volunteers. She gets to the dance studio and all, ha ha ha, silly, look at, they're all injured. He stepped on all their feet. Whatever. So this story, this little bit here, is actually the best part of the book. This is a very, very like touching, I guess you would say, um, part of the book. We see, something that you don't see a lot is Ben and Sue. Yeah, we get Ben and Johnny's. They're over the years. They're kind of brotherly type relationship, I guess you would say. And of course, you have Reed and Ben, but you don't usually get Ben and Sue. That's why this is so good. And of course, she's going to put force fields over her feet because Ben's a klutz. And so, he talks about how he used to be a real good dancer, and of course, she knows. And we get this great thing with the Allreds, where they go back to Fantastic Four #1. Slott works this in, but it focuses on Sue kind of narrating things with with Ben's relationship with her. How Reed is so obsessed with getting the rocket ship, and he misses out on a date night. Ben Grimm was the all these women were slobbering all over him. He was pretty much a stud, and Johnny's like, you got me, the teenage space pilot. Hello. I mean, what's that lunkhead got that I don't? Trust me, Junior, you don't want the answer to that. So Reed is focused, as Reed normally is, on getting the ship ready. So Ben tries to guilt Reed to step away to focus on Sue, to go out with his date on her, with his date with her, and so dancing, dinner, the works. Thank you, Ben. That sounds lovely. And I mean, you don't have a problem with that, do you, Reed? And Ben's trying to get Reed to step up, like, oh, no, and thank you, old friend. That should buy me the time I need. Yes, that's very thoughtful of you. And, Ben, sorry, Sue, I tried. What do we do now? Well, we are stepping out. So they do go out, and, and it's still, like, it's more platonic than anything, the smartest thing Reed's ever worked out is to make a gal like you fall for him. Please look at you, out with a different girl every night. And don't think I don't appreciate you clearing a space for me on your very busy dance card. Oh, what can I say? I needed a break. And so this is where we see that they dance. Parts are filled in to Fantastic Four #1. And I have to say, the Allreds, I like their artwork. It doesn't work for everything, but it works really well to do this kind of Kirby-esque. And they do work in a lot of the dialogue. There was a lot, if I recall, there's a lot of things about getting to space before the communists did, because Fantastic Four #1 did come out in 1961. And so that all the lines about the communists are dropped, because, as we know, freaking half of the comic book industry are social communists anyway. So, but anyway, they do bring up the fact that it was Ben who kept talking about the shielding, and that's the tragedy of Ben's character. He's the one who kept pointing to Reed that, hey, the shields aren't ready, and Ben is the one that suffered the worst of all. And we don't know. We haven't done enough research on the effects of cosmic rays. They might kill us out in space. Another thing about Ben, he's my favorite character of the Fantastic Four. I love the Fantastic Four, but I hate when people play Ben, when they write him as being dumb. Yeah, he's got that kind of Bronx accent, I guess you would say, Yancey Street accent, but he was a pilot. Back when the Fantastic Four #1 came out, he and Reed served in World War II, but, that's been retconned, obviously sliding time scale. But as a pilot, pilots are not dumb. Contrary to what fiction will tell you, they don't just let any dumb person, even if they do show an aptitude for piloting, you have to be educated. And Ben is not dumb. No, he's not Reed Richards or even Peter Parker level of intelligence, but he's not dumb. And he's the one that pointed out to Reed, hey, the shields are not ready. And so, yeah, we get this basically recreation of Fantastic Four #1. A lot of the dialogue Some of the panels are placed, a little bit differently. Some of the word panels, but we also have some of these poignant moments where when Sue disappears and when Thing changes. Thing even says, where's it at? I'll prove to you you love the wrong man, Susan. This is actually, he does say that in Fantastic Four #1. And it's Sue who says he turned into some sort of thing. Sue's the one that named him, that kind of almost ostracized him, So yeah, we get this neat little retelling of this. And, their adventures and how he met Alicia and how their relationship developed. And, the companion, the wedding companion actually has a funny thing about this. So, yeah, we'll go on through, and yeah, it's a lot of how they dated, and there's a nice little scene in here that basically Sue is playing matchmaker. She even refers to this as an experiment to try and push Ben and Alicia together. And yeah, there's a lot of little touching moments. In fact, like even this, which I think was in the original issues. I haven't read my reprints in ages, so where Sue turns invisible, but even Alicia says, "Susan, are you staying too? You're more than welcome to join us." Of course, being invisible won't work on someone who's blind. And yeah, so we have these scenes where they're, Alicia's teaching Ben how to sculpt and whatever, pushes the two clay sculptures they did of one another together. It's a very, very touching. This is nice. This is a very nice section. And of course, it comes back, where here's the scene where Sue is offering all this stuff, for the date and for Ben and Alicia. And he's like, well, Alicia doesn't like roses. She likes posies. And she ain't into that big band stuff. She likes the opera. I'm sorry, Susie, but the thing is, she's nothing like you. We see Sue tearing up over this. And even, in the present, she's thinking about this. She's tearing up again. And, I was just thinking about what a great dancer you are. You've been leading for the last 20 minutes, so. Yeah, that part's, that's really the best part of the book. And, of course, like usual, we have Reed, who's too busy to, as the best man, set up the bachelor party. Because Reed is always working on something. And, he's the workaholic. But, of course, we all know it's going to be something for Ben. So, Johnny, I do like this part, that Reed points out that, after all, we don't want a situation like last time, when Johnny married a scroll that he thought was Alicia. Now, that would be embarrassing. We get another great reaction picture. So yeah, Johnny says he was hoping no one would bring that up. I'm glad they kind of brought up that little bit of continuity, because that's got to be awkward for everyone. So Johnny gets conned into setting up the bachelor party. And yeah, we get some Adam Hughes art. I'm always down for Adam Hughes. So Johnny gets a tour bus. I'm going to try and go through this as quickly as possible. Spider-Man shows up. He talks about he does have an invite to the wedding. And, of course, thinks that it's going to be a family affair. And, Spider-Man's upset about that. We get Thundra, who wants to know, she's the other dimensional feminist, basically. She can do anything that a man can do. And I don't mean that in a bad way. That's pretty much her character. She's pretty awesome. And she's like, I'm not going out with the girls. I'm going out with the men. I can do anything the men can do. So, again, if you've read The Companion, which I may do a thing on. So Johnny takes Ben to the wrestling, the UCW, which if you read the Thing series back in the 80s, 90s, Ben was actually a wrestler in the what did UCW stand for? Unlimited Class Wrestling, I believe. It was basically for superheroes to wrestle. It's where Miss Marvel, not Kamala, not Carol, but Sharon Ventura came from. And so it ends up that Thing pulls his groin. Then we get to the bar part where, is that Tony Stark? Yeah, we have a bunch of people who don't drink. Spider-Man doesn't drink. So he, of course, has a soda. He tries to use this opportunity to do his wedding speech he prepared, and Ben calls him out on it, going through really quickly. And the Serpent Society is the one in the cakes. So yeah, it's nice use of Adam Hughes' art. You know, look at all this cleavage. You can't do that anymore. Did anyone tell them this? So yeah, here's where we get pretty much the fight scene. You know, Johnny hits on the asp, gets punched in the face, and we get a bit what is going on with the girls going out to the strip club, and Sue has to explain to Alicia what's going on. So you're saying clockwise, and now counterclockwise. Oh, so got a little meat spin action going on. And we go back now. They're all playing poker. And for some reason, even though Sandra's the only one there, they end up going into strip poker? Why would a bunch of guys be doing strip poker with one boy? So Johnny hits on Thundra, and she agrees to go to the wedding, which was actually kind of a neat little scene. I'd like to see more of Thundra and Johnny. I'd like to see that. And, of course, you know, Thing says, no, I got one rule, small wedding, no supers, no shenanigans, that's final. Your family is superheroes, come on, I mean. So, Thundra says, how dare you tell a femizon what she can or cannot do? And there's more fighting, of course, and Johnny gets sucked in. And we get a touching scene of Johnny and Thing. You know, Johnny still hasn't found his woman, you know, his other, the way the others have. And, yeah, so, you know, when he's asked what his favorite part is, you know, so, what was your favorite part? This brother, this right here. Or the part where you got punched in the face. You know, they have that brotherly relationship where they rip on each other. You know, it's always been there, but they do love one another because they're a family. But still get a snide mark, and that's a nice little scene. And then we start getting to the actual wedding, where getting up to it, where they brought Aunt Petunia back, although she was young and brunette in Burns' run, and then Mark Millar killed her, and now she's back alive. You know what? I am okay with any work of Mark Millar being retconned and just ignored, because he does that to everyone else. So I'm okay with this. And, you know, I'm okay with the aging up, you know, because there was like a May-December romance. But, yeah, if you read John Burns' run, you know that she was much younger. And so, yeah, we got this going, and of course, you know, Sue is upset because there's Reed working on his project again, you know, and he's going to be late to the wedding, and he says he'll catch up, but of course he takes the Fantastic car to catch up. And I gotta be getting close. I know there's a lot of pages, but basically we do the wedding, Reed shows up, and we find out what his present is because Dr. Doom shows up. Well, kind of shows up, bounces something off the atmosphere. How Galactus is there at Latveria, and he will handle it himself. No one else is to interfere. And Reed says, fascinating. I understand how he's projecting his image off the atmosphere, but how is he transmitting the sound? And so, yeah, you know what? I know we have to go back to the classic, you know, Doctor Doom, and, you know, with the... After Secret Wars a couple years ago, and after his stint as Iron Man, I felt he's grown beyond that. I really hate the fact he's been brought back into the green-clad classic Doctor Doom. You know, it's... I understand comics, you know, they do tend to reset and go back to what is, you know, the commonly known, you know, they do a reset button, but he has some great character growth where he had finally, you know, gone past that. And now to bring him back like this is such a... I know everyone loves Doctor Doom, you know, he is a great villain, granted, but this is such a regression. I'm not a fan of that. So, yeah, there's Galactus in Latveria, and he says, you know, ready to devour a planet, starting here, at the heart of my beloved Latveria. And we get this huge close-up, you know, as he's about his image. saying, I will brook no interference or distraction of any kind. For Earth's safety, I decree that none may interfere in Latvian airspace until this conflict is resolved. I have a question. The Fantastic Four have safeguards against this. We have Captain Marvel. Isn't she still monitoring space with Alpha Flight? We have the Avengers. Nobody noticed Galactus approaching the Earth until he got to Latveria. Okay, the Fantastic Four have been busy, fine. So anyway, I'm just going to stop it here because Reed's gift is he freezes time for 4 minutes because that'll be enough time for Ben and Alicia to do their wedding vows. It's a good thing Ben is Jewish because if he was Catholic, he would need about 45 minutes of freeze time. But anyway, they freeze time to get married, and the FF heads off to Latveria, where the next issue is going to pick up. 20 minutes. This is a thick book. $8. Is this $8 worth? No. No, it's not. Really, the Sue Ben story is really good. The Johnny Storm, the bachelor party, that should have been shuffled over to another book. You want to do a companion, do a second companion, put all that. They should have kept this with the opening, cut down the Sue Ben part and then focused on the wedding. Yeah, I know you have to do double size 650th issue, but $8. $8. And I'll be honest, and I don't know if they approached him, but when you think Fantastic Four, you think classic run, who do you think of? Well, of course, you think Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. Unfortunately, neither one of them are with us anymore. So who's the next defining run you think of? John Byrne. Now, I don't know if they approached John Byrne, but it would have been nice to, I did some research. I couldn't find anything on it. I should have gone to Byrne Robotics to see if he mentioned it, but it felt really missing. Like, they had a lot of, kind of guest artists, not filling in, but doing their parts. You got the Allards, you got Adam Hughes. I'm always down to see Adam Hughes. But I wish they could have gotten a couple pages of John Byrne. Even put in a splash page of, of Alicia and Ben, getting married. It just, that feels missing. But anyway, not worth it. It's not worth it. Slott, worked in some really good things going back to the Fantastic Four. That's why I said that part with Sue and Ben is the best part. We get to explore a part of the team's relationship we don't normally see. And so, yeah, I'm giving this, 4 o'clock. It's only saved by that part. And the end with, I don't like what they're doing with Doom, and it's, the more I think about it, the more I'm not liking Slott's run. I was cautiously optimistic. I'm happy to see the FF back. I'm not enjoying this run. I got to be honest with myself. I'm glad to see Alicia and Thing get married. I mean, this is a classic relationship, but passing this issue, and I've got some doubts about Slott. But next issue, issue 6, where we see the FF and Dr. Doom, that I think is going to be the real the real choice for me. That'll be the decision maker for me, is if I'm just going to say, you know what, I'm glad they're back, but I got to bow out, or I'm going to keep going. So anyway, thanks for watching. I may come back and do the companion because they work together, and yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching. I kept this to 24 minutes. I didn't think I'd be able to do it. So thanks for watching. I will catch you next time.